Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's an honour to be here, and hopefully I'll not have too much trouble with the little clicker. I'm to talk to you today about community drop-in centres. It's an initiative that we started in 2010, and we were the first SPCA within New Zealand to start it, so it was our own initiative. And I'm actually really, really proud of it because it's been hugely successful. It's now been mimicked throughout the country, and we have had international interest in it as well. So I'm hoping you'll get something out of it. We'll skip my bio because you've heard that. So basically our SPCA works much the same as others do. We investigate cruelty and neglect allegations. We enforce an Animal Welfare Act. We have very, very strong powers within New Zealand. We provide 24/7 service, including assistance to sick and injured animals. We do promotion through education. We work with owners and all those sorts of things that everyone else does. We also accept stray animals as part of our requirements under the Animal Welfare Act. Predominantly cats in New Zealand. There's no legislation for anybody to take responsibility with cats, so the SPCA picks it up pretty much as a public service, and we take prosecutions as well. So SPCAs, as we all know, have inundations of animals, and the reasons for them vary greatly. We have them sick and injured. We have people bringing them in because they keep having babies and they can't handle it anymore. They can't pay the costs of animal registration, which in New Zealand is quite high. The animal continues to wander, sprays through the house, gets into fights. They're moving, they've got too many animals, they don't want it anymore, it's surplus to requirements, it's not mine, but it lives at my house, but it's not mine. And one of the classic ones we had was that the cat didn't match the new lounge suite anymore. So that was pretty embarrassing for them once they told us that. And of course the list goes on, and I've said to people, if you can come up with a reason that I've not heard before, I'll pay to take your animal. So life today within most of the centres is that they're overcrowded. We have healthy animals, sick animals, old age animals, animals that need special needs, strays, abandoned, surrenders. Welfare cases, in New Zealand our seized cases can take 2 to 3 years to go through the court, and we have the custody of those animals for that entire time. So we're faced with desperation, we're faced with staff who are pretty much in despair. It's pretty demoralising. And we've been doing the same thing as you just saw for over 80 years, and it pretty much didn't work, and we were continuing to face too many animals. We were dealing with around about 60% intake more than we could actually do anything productive with. Not a good working day. So we were pretty much all set up to save lives, but what we end up doing is that we kill more animals than we save. Despite all our good intentions and to ask the public to be responsible and desex their animals and do all those good things, we still kill the animals. And forgive me for not using nice colloquial things. What we do is we kill animals. That's what we do. So pretty much we decided to get smarter. And decided to work within the communities rather than against them. So instead of waiting for people to come to us with their problems or going out and dealing with the animal welfare problems, we thought, okay, let's get to the root of the cause and stop being the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. One of the things that I came up with really was that the high welfare areas that we were going to every day when I was on the road, I would go to some of these areas 5 or 6 times a day for different calls of abuse and neglect, sick and injured animals. And we just thought we have to get into the community to stop having to go into the community. And we decided that we would look at desexing pretty much consistently within those communities, and we started a clinic to do that as well. So in 2010 we opened our first trial drop-in clinic. We targeted the area where the highest of welfare concerns were, and this one was a place called Whangarei. I won't expect you to remember that. And it's obviously one of our poorest areas. It's highly populated, so you're looking at large groups of people living in one house, and there was a massive problem of stray and abandoned animals, as well as the welfare cases we saw. We have now an education officer who is also an animal welfare inspector who attends fortnightly. The room space has been donated. It's close to the police station. We discussed with the Maori elders and they actually came on board with us. It's a high gang area, but we got the gang leaders to support us. In fact, the day that we opened it, the gang leaders came and sat outside the clinic and said, if you have any trouble with the youngies, let us know. Can't get much better than that. We run it really pretty much on fresh air. So we just have a little sign out the front that says, yeah, we're here. Mostly we're open from about 9 till 3. Sometimes we have to do half days depending on availability. That's just pretty much in the middle of the community. There's a group of shops just at the back there where they all get their booze and their fish and chips. That is the local Maori Health Centre, which is what we use. So the Maori health nurses work out of there, some other groups work out of there, and now we work out of there as well. And they provide that free for us. They give us access to a phone, all the necessaries. And we have a little vehicle that we use to transport our supplies backwards and forwards there. But also we do get people who come in and go, I don't want this anymore. Okay, so instead of leaving it on the street and things like that, we just say, great, fine, we'll take it. And it gets taken back to the centre. So the criteria for people who attend the clinic is that they must live in the area. We're there in that community to help solve that community's problem. We do get the odd person who wants to, bring their animal from 20 k's away, and if they want to do that, we'll see it. They must attend with their animals, so they can't just rock up and say that they need some parasite control or they want some advice on their animal. We need to lay eyes on the animal. They must complete a register, which basically is their name, address, the name of the animal, the species, any identifying things, so that we can keep track of what animals they've got, how often their animals change over, whether the same animal is being presented by 3 different people, because they'll try everything. But we do not chase them for any legislative requirements other than animal welfare. So if dogs aren't registered, not my problem. Okay, you're bringing your animal in because you want it fleed and wormed, I'm more than happy to see you. And that develops the trust that we've all heard about, because these are very untrusting people. They're used to seeing people in the area in law enforcement roles only to enforce law, not to give them some help. And it's about enabling them to be able to help themselves. So we're not going to blow that by saying to them, oh, by the way, we're going to send the pound up because you owe them $300 for late registration. So we just don't do that. What we do offer, though, is free basic health checks. So the animal inspector is skilled enough to be able to assess animals. She's had some basic training from our vet. We offer free parasite control, so worms and fleas. We also offer advice on welfare needs, so that's the sheltering, the food, the vaccinations, all those sorts of things that they need. We provide a free desexing service that they must sign up to, and again, the key word is free. They won't give you $5 for their animal. Their animal is not important enough for them to spend $5 on it, but they won't give it to you either because it's theirs. So let's work with them and try and get these things achieved in the same way. We allow them to have cheap food, and the reason we can do that is people donate food to us. Sometimes it's not of the best quality or it's not appropriate for what we're feeding at the centre. So we just split it up into grocery bags and sell it to them for a gold coin donation. Their animal gets fed and we get a little bit of money. We also supply second-hand clothing. They can get 5 baby shirts for $5 and things like that. Again, it comes from our second-hand shop. It's already donated. It's donated to raise money to help animals in need. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what we're doing. So this is a typical client, and I'm sure you've all seen plenty like this. This is Rachel. She's my education officer and animal welfare inspector, and she attends the clinics. So people rock on up. This lady here is paying her $5 for her bag of food, and she would have brought an animal with her as well so that the animal could be assessed, because if there is a severe weight problem, we've got to have a different discussion with them about that. Lovely to see that she's now signing her cat up for the desexing program, so that will come to me and those animals will be prioritised for desexing. We also do skin checks. We have a huge problem with mange in our area, and as a consequence of this, if we can catch them early, what we do is we start them on a mange program, and we charge them $10 a week for the treatment. If they had to go to a local vet, they'd be paying between $75 and $100, and they're just not going to do that. Most of them don't even know what mange is. So we get onto them pretty early, and that's been very, very successful. Sometimes we have 10 or 12 people rocking up on one day for their mange treatment, and we do that 3 days a week. Also, they get age assessed. A lot of these people have got no idea how old their animals are. And of course, this lady is signing her young pit bull male up for desexing as well. Go hard. Here's a dog that's not too impressed about being treated for fleas. Also getting we give them as thorough assessment as we can. You know, a lot of these animals aren't handled very often. They're certainly not used to strangers. They're not used to going out and about. So we do the best that we can. That one's a little bit too wary about it, but she's getting her once over, so that's all that matters. This one here, not too impressed about having her nails clipped. But as you can see, this guy is a local gang member. He's one of the seniors in the gang group that has there. And if he will bring his animals to us, then the new youngies coming through will bring their animals to us as well. And we've actually had young gang boys walking around with their dogs, and they'll wave us down and they go, "Choice, miss, see my dog, look, it's been desexed and it's got a tag." You know, they're as proud as punch once they've got these things done, because they are positively rewarded and assisted to get it without feeling like they were doing anything wrong. Again, same guy, he's brought his cat in as well. I have had the most scariest looking guys rock up with their male kittens in a pink carry bag going, "Please, please, please desex my cat before he starts to wander." They now get the message, they understand what it is, whereas it wouldn't have entered their head at all a couple of years ago. So we're getting the word out there, and people are telling other people, and they're going to the neighbours, "Oi, you got too many dogs, that bitch has had another litter of puppies, you know, I'm going to get you to go down to the SPCA." We don't have to do the work, they're doing it for us. Oops, I've got one of them slides. What happened? Oh, that was the end of that one. What I would like to do is move on to the next one, if that's all right with you, and we can answer questions at the end. How much have I got? Oh, good. Because the reason that we started this clinic was to get the word out, and you've heard me use it lots and lots. It's called desexing. Okay, anybody know what that knot is yet? So what we did is we started a desexing clinic at the same time, because we wanted to be able to say to people, "We'll do this for you, we'll take away all the barriers, we're not going to leave you in a position where we're saying to you, you must do it, you know, you're just being irresponsible, you're bringing me your puppies and your kittens every 6 months and I have to kill them, blah, blah, blah." They're not going to do it. They've got multiple barriers in front of them: financial, transport, education, you know, unwelcome at the vet clinics. A lot of them owe money there, and the vets will just go, "Sorry, you owe us $400 or $500, we're not touching you." These problems all land on our doorstep. I think that most vet clinics in our town have an answer phone that says, "If you don't have any money, then just ring the SPCA." So we still end up with the problem. So instead of trying to deal with them once they get to us, we got smart again. We started a clinic somewhere. That's one of my little dogs. So pretty much we have the same problem. We've got the overpopulation in the communities, the SPCA centres suffer, we're drowning at animals and we're killing animals, and we don't want to do that. We only want to kill animals because it's a humane thing to do, not because it's the only choice we have. So our resources are limited, much as everybody else's. We have very little space, we have very little finance, and we don't have a great deal of manpower either. But we want to achieve the best for the animals that do end up in the centres. And the thing is that if you have too many animals in the centres, I'm preaching to the converted, I know, then you aren't actually doing the best for them. The less you have in the centres, the better you can do for them. To do that, we have to stop them coming in the door. And we also need to look at what the community needs are. The community expect us to do something about these animal problems. And we all know that by the number of phone calls we get every day saying, "I've got a problem, you fix it." I'm obviously not holding my mouth right. There we go. So desexing and identification is the key to this. Identified animals can be reunited. We microchip everything. If we can get our hand on it and stick a chip in it, then that's what we'll do, because that's increased our reunition rate by about 350% in the last 12 months. So everything that comes through gets microchipped regardless. If they say they don't want it microchipped, well, it probably already had one and we just don't tell them. Desexed every centre animal, and more than this, we desex every animal we can get our hands on. So we will walk the streets and we will dog knock with a form to say, "Can we please, can we desex your animal?" You know, and we'll do it at no cost. We'll say, you know, "If you can give us a donation, that'd be great." minimal criteria, so we're not saying to them that you have to be able to pay $10 a week and you have to be able to bring it in and you have to be able to do 8 hours of service for us, anything like that. We're just like, please, let us desex your animal. We've had cases where people have a $500,000 boat sitting in their driveway, they've got a BMW sitting in their driveway, and you ask them, are your pets desexed? And they go, no. Are you going to do anything about it? No, I don't care. So we will say, can we desex your animal? They're not interested in it. It's not a priority to them. They'd rather get on their $500,000 boat and go fishing than worry about the fact that their cat or dog is off, having a good time while they are. So in 2002, we had a massive number of animals coming in, and again, preaching to the converted, but most of the animals that we get that come in are either abandoned, they're either stray, or they're either unwanted. So the animal welfare cases and the A&Es and the court case dogs and the seized cats and the seized horses and all those sorts of things are actually a very small number of animals that we hold. We have a legislative requirement in New Zealand that we must take stray animals, other than dogs, over three months old. So we are overwhelmed by stray cats. We have, as most of you do, I'm not quite sure about the legislative requirements over here, but I'm sure you get them as well. As you can see from the bottom, stray and unwanted. That's what kills us. And the outcomes of the animals, well, we really try to rehome as many as we can, but unfortunately, we kill a lot of them. So I believe that the financial responsibility that we hold to the public is that people give us money to do something for the animals. They do not give us money to kill the animals. And that's a lot of what we were ending up doing. And also, I believe it's financially responsible for us that if we can spend money on desexing animals, it's a one-time cost. We have people on our database who, when we started this program, they were the first people we rang because we went through the database, and if you'd surrendered more than 1 litter of animals to us, we phoned you up and said, we'll desex your animal for free, for nothing. We'll even come and get it if you can't do it. The centre costs in holding animals for homes for long periods is horrendous. It costs us about $80 a day to hold a cat. And we do have some animals for very, very long times because we don't have a time period on them. As long as they're coping and they're fitting in well and they're not having any issues related to being there, then we will keep them until they get a home if we've made that commitment to them. And increasing the return rate to owners with the desexing and the microshipping has been, as I said, significant. So for the desexing clinic, what we do is we allow low-income people to apply for it. So basically, in New Zealand, you have to have a community services card. I'm not sure if you have the equivalent over here. And you'd be surprised who can get a community services card in New Zealand. Pretty much anybody, unless you're earning sort of over $80,000 a year. We do, however, exclude pedigree animals. We do exclude animals that we consider easy to home, and that would be our small breed dogs, because people can't get enough of small breed dogs, and anyone who paid for an animal, particularly if you bought it off something like Trade Me or if you bought it off a puppy farmer. I know it could be a little bit difficult, but if you paid for an animal, you made an obligation to that animal. I'm not going to help you achieve it by doing something else for you for free. The problems that we have with the animals are not the pedigrees, they're not the easy to home ones, and they're generally not the ones that people have forked out some money for. We vaccinate them all and we microchip them all, and we do it all for free. And we'll take away all barriers. If people say, oh no, I can't, I can't put the dog and the cat in the car together, we'll say, well, come get it. I haven't got any money. You don't have to pay any money. Oh, it's not registered. I don't care. So pretty much you come up with an excuse and I'll come up with a solution for you. And we do high volume stuff. We pretty much convey about them, and we will do around about between 20 and 30 animals a day. So this is one of my vets, and this is actually my dog behaviourist, and she's now 1 day a week vet nurse. Desex numbers in 2012, we did a fairly small number actually, because we had only just started. We did 1,328 animals. Purple, cat spay, burgundy, kitten spays. We'll do our animals from 8 weeks of age. Female dogs we don't do till they're 12 weeks of age. Anything else is done at 8 weeks of age. So we do kittens and we do dogs and puppies, and that. Yeah. all the bits. And we've even just started doing rabbits, which is pretty impressive for us. The additional services is once they come into the vet clinic, these animals may never come back to a vet clinic. They've probably never been to a vet clinic before, so we will do whatever we can for that animal within reason. So we will take off lumps and bumps, we will do dentals, we will take out teeth, we will syringe ears, we will remove lesions, we've taken massive tumours off dogs. You name it, we've probably done it. We've done entropia surgery, all those sorts of things. We'll identify skin issues, we'll start them on skin treatment, we'll get them whatever we can do for that time to make their quality of life better. Whoopsie doodles. Unfortunately, we do have to abort animals sometimes, and we will abort to full term. It's not something we like to do, but I would rather do that than have to kill them later when they've been 8 weeks old, 8 months old, 8 years old, and lived a pretty miserable life. So we did abort, again, 2012, 426 kittens and 73 puppies. But if we take an estimate of each animal that we've desexed in 2012, every female, if we estimate that they might have lived for about 7 years, they might have had, 2 really small litters a year, then at a very conservative effort, that's the number of animals that we saved. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what the picture's all about. That's animals that have not had to suffer, that have not been born into homes where they haven't been a cherished and wanted animal. And we haven't had to have them on our doorstep, or out of the river, or out of the bin. So this is our vet clinic. This is all it is. You can do it on a budget. The surgery table came from the hospital. I've been hoarding that. Speaking of hoarders, I've been hoarding that for 10 years, that surgical table. It weighed a lot. And we had it in our garage, and everybody kept saying, "Boss, when are you going to get rid of that table? Can't we just dump it? It's such a pain." I said, "I've got a plan for that table. Don't touch my table." Okay, so all we have is a room. I bought an autoclave off Trade Me. It was actually for sterilising tattoo gear, but it sufficed. The only thing we did have to do was get an anaesthetic machine, and we paid for that. That's my cat room. Pretty much the cats come in, they get identified, they all go into a top-loading carry cage, they line up on the shelves, they're all covered, so we've got some disease control over there. They get pre-meted in there, they come out, they get surgery, they get waken up in the surgery room, and then they go in there post-op, and then they go home. And that's my dog room. There's actually a few more of those cages, but I could only fit one in the picture, but that's all I have. And I have fit 70-kilo dogs in those big crates, and they've all been perfectly happy. The odd one that's not so happy about being confined, because it's never been in anything like that, I'll just pre-med it and let it go to sleep on the floor. Sometimes they've gone to sleep behind the door, and I've had a bit of trouble getting back into the room, but I work around that. Some of these dogs are not sociable, they're not happy, so if we come in and we assess them at that stage, we just say to the owner, just wait 5 minutes, you hold your dog and I'll pre-med it for you right now. Wait till it goes to sleep, see you later, come back and get it as soon as it starts to wake up. That's our reception area. As you can see, there is a baby chair in there, but we do not do babies. Our vet actually had just had a baby, and so she came to work and the baby came too. So the vet clinic is for us. It is not for the public. We don't want to get into a conflict with the vet clinics, but pretty much we've got enough work to do without dealing with people who want to come in and get their lovely little cherished animal vaccinated and its nails clipped and things like that. So we don't do that, really. We provide basic treatment, as I've covered. We do desexing for people who meet the criteria. We are flexible on that. You will get people who have had circumstances changed and they bought a pedigree Rottweiler when it was 3 months old and it's now 9 months old and they've been laid off and they've got nowhere to live and all those sorts of things. We won't cut them off. You come and you ask to have your animal desexed, they have to have a pretty good reason to say no to you. Also, the older people whose family very generously give them a cat or a little foo-foo dog or something like that. I have a little bit of bugbear like that. If they want to give them an animal, then they should give them a desexing certificate as well. However, it's not the animal's fault. They're not going to be penalised for it, and that is my philosophy. The animals should not suffer for the people who own them. Our vet is Christy McDonald. She works 2 to 3 half days a week. That's actually changed now. We do 2 full days of surgery a week. Sometimes we do 3, and she also sees all the animals in the centre and does our clinic referrals. as I've said, a lot of the animals are referred to us by the vet clinic, so I don't see why they feel they can get their nose out of joint. You're not going to see it, I will. I work as a vet nurse, saves some money, I don't have to employ another staff member. And if you're ever in New Zealand, come on, rock on in and have a wee look. And so how do we pay for it? Everybody wants to know how we pay for it. Well, of course, we ask for donations, and we'll say to people, if you can make a donation or a koha, we'd appreciate that. I've had people that look like they live on the street empty their pockets of all their coins. I've had people write me a cheque for $150 for a cat neuter that probably cost me $15. And I've had people who won't give you anything. I'm not really that fussed. I'd like your money, but I'd much prefer your animal not have producing anymore. We can apply for grants. Grants in New Zealand are really, really difficult to get. Animal welfare organisations are often just purely excluded, and when they're not, there's a lot of us trying to get them. We are generally quite successful with our grant applications, I guess, because we have some innovative programs. But I will say the only way to raise money is to have an op shop. Who has op shops here? Okay, it's a huge movement in New Zealand, and I'm about to show you why. Okay, we started a second-hand shop about the same time, about 2010 again, because we needed to reduce the costs of the services and what we were spending on them. Also, if we can save money on those things, I can do more complex surgeries. So, the same old thing, if you're healthy, I'll keep you. If you need expensive surgery, sorry. Now we can say, if you're healthy, I'll keep you, and if you need a broken leg pinned, I can probably help you as well, and that's huge for staff morale. So pretty much my staff will do anything to raise money to help us achieve these things. Not me, no, my staff. I'll shake the bucket and walk the dogs, but I'm not getting on one of them. So our first op shop pretty much made a fairly good income. I haven't got the figures on this slide, but they are coming up. But as you'll see, half of it was income, and the sort of over quarter of it, that was the profit from the first year. All I had to pay was the wages and the leasing and the incidentals like the power and that sort of thing. I only paid 2 op shop managers for 2 shops. They're not paid very much. None of my staff are paid very much. They come to work because they love their job. I'd love to pay them more, but the money goes to the animals, not to the staff. So the centre vet costs for last year were around about $250,000, which for a branch of our size is a significant amount of money. We made $186,000 from the one op shop. So we were only short about $64,000 only, she says. But that was just one source of income. We hope now with the 2 shops that we will probably exceed $290,000, if not $300,000 this year. That will cover every veterinary cost that I spend on an animal. That's my, that's my op shop team. Bar, as I say, one person, they're all volunteers, and they are awesome. They will come in when they're not rostered. They will hang around. They love their job. I had to stand in there for a month when we had a manager, in between managers. I was quite happy to work there. It was an awesome job. Cool stuff, cool people. People are happy. The trick to it is sell your stuff really cheap and get it out the door. So we now have moved from a single garage to a massive building. This is just to give you a bit of an example. Sorry, the photos probably aren't too good. We sell everything. And the entire reason that we do this is that we don't want to see this anymore. And we don't want to see this anymore. These animals aren't born, they don't suffer. These people won't give them good homes. Let's not let them have more than one animal. However, having said that, I will point out that through the drop-in centre and the Desexing clinic, we have seen a huge amount of pride develop in these animal owners. Okay? They have someone to talk to. They have someone that they can ring up and say, hey, and they do this. Believe me, they do this now. In these areas where I used to go with the cops 6 times a day, they now ring us up and say, can you please come and have a look at my dog because it might be too thin. They'll make us cakes. We might not necessarily eat them, But they'll make them for us. You know, we have people who come in and cry. Big gang members who want their kittens desexed because they know it's the best interest for them. The most important factor out of this, as far as other organisations are concerned, and that we have used as a tactic to get some funding, is that the Community Health Service has seen the vaccinations in these children in these areas double. Because they know what vaccinating is about, they've seen what it is. These areas have high parvo, they see their dogs die every day. We hear people say to us, well, if it dies, I just get another one. Okay? They know that it's going to die. They know that the parvo's in the ground for 5 years. They don't really care. Now they do care because their animals are vaccinated. We vaccinate them as soon as they get them. They understand that they must keep them away from other dogs and keep them indoors, and now their animals survive. So, you know, it's something that I will preach and jump up and down about and be really, really proud of, because people wave at us now. People don't hunt us down. We still get the odd one, but not really very, very often. And this is what it's about. This is about not seeing animals suffer. These are, you know, animals that are injured or, you know it all. But we actually see a lot of people who deliberately hurt other people's animals, because they're coming onto their property, because they're spraying, because they're doing all those sorts of, you know, not very sociable things. So that's pretty much why we do it, and that's why we'll continue to do it. And I'm actually finished ahead of time. So...